Hey, welcome back to another video. And today's topic will be going over supply and demand zones. So, supply and demand zone is very important. I know I said on the market structure that that is probably one of the most important videos, but supply and demand zone is right up there with it, meaning it is very important. Like, we want to know where to enter the trade because that is something that I struggled with for a very long time. Like, where to enter the best possible place to enter to give you a more high probability setup. And for me, I've tried a lot of different things, and the one that has worked for me best is the one that I'm going to show you now. And it is the supply and demand zones. So I know you might be wondering, what is supply and demand zones? So I'm going to go ahead and explain that for you. What is supply and demand zones? So as I define supply zone as a supply zone is an area where the big banks entered for sales. So the big banks and the large traders who are trading billions and billions of dollars, I define the supply zone as where they entered for sales. And if they entered for sales, that means they would have identified that area as a good area to take a trade. So if they entered that area for sales, that means this is an area where we would also be interested as retail and smaller traders to also take a trade as well. So we want to identify these areas because we want to trade with the persons who are moving the market, who are trading billions of dollars, and they entered at the supply zone and demand zone. But for this, the supply zone is where they entered for sales. So we want to identify these areas so we can also take sales from these areas. And the demand zone is an area, and I define as zone is an area. The demand zone is an area where the big banks entered for buys. So this one is now the opposite of the sales. The demand zone is an area where the big banks entered for buys. And that is what I define it as. And remember, I said the big banks are the large traders who are trading billions of dollars. They are the ones that are moving the market. So if they identified an area as a good area for entry, that means we want to enter also at that area for entering in the same position that they are entering to. So if they enter at a supply zone for sales, we want to enter there for sales. Of course, we're going to need other confirmations and other confluences, but those are the areas where we would want to enter for sales too. And the demand zone is where they entered for buys. So that means they identify that area as a good area for buys. So we automatically would want to take a trade from there. So there as well, because they identified it as a good areas and they are the one moving billions of dollars to make a profit. So we as a retail trader, we want to identify these areas and see if we can capitalize on these areas as well to get some high probability setups. So I'm going to show you how I identify them in the market. And remember, trading is a very subjective thing, meaning everyone sees things differently. So this way that I'm going to show you is the way that I use it, I see it, and that I have back tested and see how it works. So you might see it somewhere else and it looks different. It doesn't mean that that person don't know what they are doing or I don't know what I'm doing. Each of us see the market differently. So I'm just showing you the way that I look at it and the way that works for me. So what works for me might not work for somebody else, and what works for somebody else might not work for me. So I'm just showing you that way on how I look for it. So before I show you the supply and demand zone, I have to show you something that will help you to find the supply and demand zones. So I look for them mainly on the 2 hour. So I use every time frame, but the 2 hour is where my home base for my intraday structure. The 2 hour is the time frame that I look at the most now, and the 5 minute. I look at the larger ones too as well because every time frame is important, but I mostly look at the 2 hour, the 5 minute, and the daily. Any one of those are the ones that I look for, but I will look through all of them to see what's going on. But those are my main ones. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I look for the supply and demand zones. And first, I would have to show you also how the market break structure on the candlestick charts. Let me go ahead and show you because this is very, very important. So how I look for the break of structure on the 2 hour is, let me go ahead and show you one example. So we need price to break the structure. So we need one candle to close on it, on the zone, on the structure, and we need a next one to close above. So that is what confirms a break of structure for me. That is how I look for my break of structures. And I'm going to go ahead and show you one for the uptrend. So we're going to go ahead and identify about 2 examples, 2 for the demand zones and 2 for the supply zones. So remember, I identify the break of structure as an area where one candle close on the structure and one close above when we are looking for the demand zone. So we see it here, one close on it, one close above. So we confirm that as a break of structure. So now we are going to go ahead now and look for our demand zone. So what I normally do, I also highlight the candle that confirm the break of structure on the 2 hour. We're not going to let this stay, but we're just using this to demonstrate. And then I go on the 5-minute chart. So remember, I'm going to search for all my supply and demand zone on the 5-minute chart, but I search for the break of structure on the 2 hour chart. So after I look for the break of structure on the 2 hour chart, then I look for the supply and demand zone on the 5-minute chart. And I identify that as, so see, the candle that broke and confirmed the break of structure, that is the one that we want to use. So in this case, this is the candle. See, you want this candle on the 5-minute, broke above, and then this one confirmed the break of structure. So this is an area where we would want to look for, and you see, price came back and tapped into it. So because that is an area that confirmed the break of structure, we would want to enter there. And we just enter, and we have our aggressive entry and we have our conservative entry. I'm going to explain that further, but for now we are just searching for the supply and demand zone. I'm showing you how I search for them. So you see that one, price came and tapped back exactly into it. Because when I do this, it is extremely accurate when I do this. And you see, price came back and tapped right into it. And this would have been a perfect trade. So you notice price came back and tapped right into our zone and then push up. And I'm going to show you a next one. Any random place I'm going to do and look for a break of structure on the 2 hour and show you guys to show you that it is extremely accurate. It is extremely accurate. Let me go ahead and just show you a next one. Random place I'm going and I'm going to show you. So see, we have a next break of structure here on the 2 hour. I'm just going to go to a random place to show you how accurate this is, guys. And remember, we highlight the second candle that confirmed the break of structure. So see, this one close on it, then this one close above. So we have that as a confirmed break of structure. And we highlight the one that confirmed it. And then let me go ahead now and show you on the 5-minute. We are going to search for the demand zone on the 5-minute time frame. So let me go ahead and show you the demand zone on the 5-minute time frame, and this would be it. So see, this one closed above, and then this one confirmed the break of structure here. So this is our demand zone. And you see what price did? Came back again, tapped into it, and pushed all the way up. So you see how accurate this is, guys? So this is why these are the areas that I use to enter my trades. And it is super accurate. Super accurate. Like I used to make a lot of mistakes when I was using different things, but when I've observed this and find this one, this is the one that works well for me. And these trades usually make some big pushes from this so we can get a high risk to reward. And I'm going to show you what risk to reward is also. So you see, a random place I just went, and you see how accurate that was. So we did that for 2 demand zones. What I'm going to go ahead now and do is search for 2 supply zones. And remember, the demand zone is an area where the big traders entered for buys. And the supply zone now would be an area where the big traders entered for sells. So let me just go to a random place also for a sell and show you guys. Let me go to a random place and show you a sell. So let us look for one. Okay, so see we have one here as well. So market broke structure right here. And then this one closed under. So we know that that is a break of structure. So that would be the second candle. So we're going to highlight that. And then we're going to go on our 5-minute chart to search for the supply zone. And remember, we are marking the opening price of the supply or demand zone. So if we notice, this one broke structure. And then this one is the closing price, the opening price. After this one, you see, we have this one that broke structure. So we have 2 of them. We have one up here and we have one down here. We're going to use the one down here. So you see how accurate it is. This one broke structure and then this one pushed down. So this is the one that we're going to use. And we use the opening price of the sell candle and the opening price of the buy candle. Remember. And you see how accurate price did. So this is it. This guys, this is a secret trick that I use. I hope you guys study it and understand it. Take notes and go over and over and over again. Because where we enter in the market is very crucial. The better our entries are, we're going to get stopped out less. We are going to get better trades. Everything that is good is going to happen whenever we enter at the right place. So see, we have our next one. And I'm just going to go over 2 examples just to show you guys. So we have one here, right there. And then remember, we highlight the second candle that confirmed the break of structure. In this case would be this one, because this one closed on it, and then this one closed below. And then now we are going to look for the break of structure on the 5-minute, the supply zone. Now we are the supply zone we're looking for on the 5-minute. Yes, and you see? So our supply zone is right here. This is our supply zone. And remember, it's the opening price of the candle that confirmed the break of structure. So right here. And we enter here. And then the market started to just push down. So you know that one was a great one as well. So you see how accurate this is, guys? So this is where we want to enter in the market. And we enter aggressively, meaning we can set a limit position as we just enter as the price reaches there. Because I'm confident is this zone. I don't wait on confirmation. I just enter when it reaches here. And even if I lose, I know that on a bounce of probabilities, I'm going to be coming out on the winning side. So this is what makes me really confident in the market. And I showed you 2 examples. So let me go and just revise it. So we need the 2-hour break of structure. We need the 2-hour break of structure, remember? The 2-hour break of structure, one closes on it, one closes above. And then we look for the 5-minute demand zone, 5-minute demand zone, and that is an area where there's 3 consecutive candles. 3 consecutive candles. So you see, more than 3 or more consecutive candles, and this broke this zone, and then the one that confirmed the breakout structure, we highlight the opening price of that, and then we mark that area, and then we wait for price to come back there. And as I said, I enter it aggressively, meaning as price reaches those areas, I just take my trade because I know that on a bounce of probabilities, I am going to win. That is for the buy, the demand zones. So see, same thing. This one broke structure and this confirmed that it was above. So we enter there, price pull back into it perfectly. And it's the same thing for the supply zone. This one is the opening price. 3 or more consecutive candles. This one was the opening price, so we take it from there. So I'm going to go ahead on our breakdowns. You're going to see these more clearly. And I'm going to do a follow-up video just so you guys ensure that you guys understand perfectly, because I know maybe sometime you're new and you don't understand it, maybe look a little too much or look a little frightening, but not fret not. Fret not. You will understand it, and I'll go over a lot more. So you see that I showed you 2 examples, one of 2 supply zones and 2 demand zones. And that is how I look for them. So, and you see how accurate they were. So you know that these areas work in the market. So you see how accurate they were, so you know that it works. So I hope you guys understood. I hope you guys take notes. I hope you guys rewatch it, because this is super important, very, very important. I don't want to miss anyone. I want to ensure that all of you guys get it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and I'll answer to them as best as possible. And I'll be making more follow-up videos on these ones that get a little more complex, to ensure that I don't lose anybody and that everyone understands. Yes, and when you watch the videos, you just go on the chart as well and practice. Watch my video and look over it and see what I did, and rewatch it and search for it on the charts as well, and do some practicing, and you will see them for yourself. And these are areas where we'd be wanting to take our trades, and these are great areas where we can have high probability setups to take profits from the market. So this was my breakdown on how I look for supply and demand zones, guys. Remember, this is how I look for it. Other people, you might see it somewhere else, someone else look at it different, but this is how I look for it, and this is what works for me. So I hope you guys understood, and that's it for this video, guys. Thank you.